Namaste, everybody. Today's topic is moderation. I had somebody reach out to me a while back and ask me if I could talk about this concept and this topic. And it's kind of difficult, it's kind of tough because there's a lot of different facets. But I'm going to cover just a couple today. And what I want you to think of most importantly is how can we find moderation, but how does it make you feel? And what will that seem like in your life? So give yourself an opportunity to journal during this. Feel free to pause at any point, paper or digital. So if you need to pause the video, go grab a journal or set your computer up. Feel free to get ready, pause, and then come back whenever you need to. So here's the definition. The definition is the avoidance of excess or extremes, especially in one's behavior or political opinions. All right? So for me to dive into moderation a little bit, I need to talk about my definition of materialism and minimalism. So materialism, to me, is the inability to be happy with your current situation and lack of gratitude. Okay? Minimalism is the ability to be content with your current situation while desiring less worldly possessions. So give yourself an opportunity to think about in your life right now, where is it you can kind of get rid of, what can you hang on to, right? And we'll talk about that. I'll give you an opportunity to journal that in a few minutes. So when you find moderation, you really begin to find peace. So many times we're seeking all these things to fill a void, right? Materialistically, we keep buying and searching and buying and searching, but that void is never truly filled. So we end up purchasing a lot more items and never filling that void. So giving ourselves the opportunity to find and reach and grasp minimalism, right, will allow you an opportunity to find contentment as well as moderation. So it goes hand in hand, right? So some of you may already know this story, but a couple of years ago, we sold our house in Kansas City and everything in it. And we kept a couple pieces of what I call art. So we had a headboard that has chakras on it, and then we had a dining room table that has all the elements of the earth. I kept all my yoga props from the yoga studio, and then I kept my tools. So we put everything we owned inside a U-box. If you're familiar with those, it's U-Haul, and it's about an 8x4x6 dimensional box. So take a second right now and just think about giving yourself the opportunity to sell every single thing you own, all of it, and everything that you own can fit into this one container. Tools, props, antiques, all those things, right? It gives you the opportunity to start fresh, to start whole, to start complete, to get rid of all of everything, right? Positive and negative. So it was truly one of the most liberating actions of my entire life. I was 50 years old and I was transforming, right? My midlife crisis probably happened when I was around 40. So at this point, it's my time to really transform my life, right? So I custom ordered a Ford Transit van from the big car show that they have there in Kansas City, and it took quite a few months to get it in, but it's a diesel. I got the high roof. I did like the vinyl flooring. I did all the minimalistic, the cheapest stock stereo you could have in there, but I upgraded the rear end so I could tow like 7,500 pounds. And Tammy told me, she goes, I'm going out of town, and I need you to put all your clothes into these little containers. So we bought these containers because they actually fit perfectly underneath the seats in the van, but they also stack really well. So I took 2 of those containers and I had what I call my summer clothes. So I usually dress in layers. So I'll have t-shirts and shorts, and I roll those up, and so one of those containers can hold 1 week's worth of shorts and t-shirts. So I had 2 of those for summer clothes, and then I had another one with winter clothes with like some long pants, socks, long underwear, and things like that were kind of compressed in there. And then I had my thicker winter clothes in the very back of the van. So it allowed me a restrictive space, right, that I could only take so much. You can only put so much space in this van, right? And so think about the things in your life that you're just overindulging in excess, right? And if you could just condense it down to one little container, right? So one of the biggest keys to this is also healthy boundaries. So moderation is a lot of different concepts, but giving yourself healthy boundaries within your life and restricting yourself to really what you only need, truly what's only necessity, right? So think about like if you ever went on a fast physically or maybe a cleanse, and allowing yourself to release everything from your past, positive and negative. And it's allowing you to really release anything in excess and no longer that served me. So at the point I wasn't realizing what I was doing, but reflecting back, I was picking shorts and a shirt that matched, and I was finding the ones that brought me the most joy. The things in your life that truly, really bring you joy. So think about those things in your life, and those are the things that you can continue on in moderation, not in excess, right? So think about, things in our life that maybe we have overindulged, right? Maybe binge watching TV, or maybe food or alcohol consumptions. And I can say that most of the time when I overconsumed alcohol, I made bad decisions. There's very rarely any time that I made a good, life-changing, positive decision under the influence of alcohol. So that's another thing that I got rid of. All right? So stop for just 1 second and write this down. I want you to write down what are the areas in your life that come to mind that can really bring you joy. Right? And I want you to write down the things in your life where you have clutter. Okay? All right. So we decided to purchase a house in Evergreen. And we really wanted about 1,000 square foot house, but it's really tough to find that in Evergreen. But we looked in a lot of other areas, but this is the house that serves us the best right now at this time. And so everything in this house we've had to purchase new. New sheets, new towels, all the furniture is completely, totally new. And it was nice because then we purchased those things that really served us, the things that were minimalistic, the things that are going to last a long time. So we bought high quality items, right? We bought those things that I feel like are going to last a lifetime. And I've done that now with my clothing. Recently I was in Oklahoma doing yoga, mindfulness, and meditation, ironically, and my luggage was stolen. And so I had to go buy a new luggage, and I had to go buy some new outfits, and I'm just doing a phased. But I went to buy the items that I know are going to serve me for a long time, that are quality items that I don't have to replace as often. And so I've kind of changed my perspective on certain types of clothing that I call seasonal, or they don't last very long, to items that I tend to try to just purchase once. And I know they probably won't last me my whole lifetime, but I realized looking back at old photos that there's plenty of clothes that I have worn well over 10 years that have lasted me that long because they're really well-built quality. So, think again of the things that we overindulge and how we can find moderation in them, right? So I want you to write down these two things in your journal, digital, physical, whatever you're using today, is what is it you're avoiding, right? So why are you deciding to binge watch or overeat or consume alcohol? What is it really in your life that you're avoiding, right? And then ask yourself, what is it you're hiding from, and why can't you be alone with yourself? Okay? What are you avoiding, and what are you hiding from, and why can't you be alone with yourself? Right? A lot of times we spend a lot of time focusing on our career, right? And we'll spend 40, 60, 80 hours a week just diving into it. And we put all these other things on the back burner. That we'll take care of that later, we'll do it later. And those things eventually come up, right? So are you spending too much time in your career, right? And are you looking for your career's validation of that title that you're giving, or that career path? That's a title that you can label everybody that this is what I am, this is who I am, because this is what I've done and accomplished. So just think about that too, right? I always recommend people that every 10 years, if possible, they take off an entire year of work and school and everything and just give themselves an opportunity to reset. I've done that. I did that twice in my life, and it really made a big impact. It really let me kind of dive into what was really important, and you're not focusing on all these external aspects, right? So think about clutter, for example. Like if your house or your office or your work is really full of clutter, right? Once all that becomes removed out of your life, you have the opportunity to truly focus and concentrate. It's tough to really be productive with all those things in your life. So being organized allows you to be present. Being organized allows you to be mindful. So think about, a lot of people are really organized in their professional life, but not in their personal life. So are you as organized in your personal life as you are in your professional life? Do you have your calendar set up for everything that you need in your professional life as you do your personal life? Do they mirror each other? Okay. And then think about maybe addictions or overindulgence in the life of healthy boundaries that aren't really prevalent. So sometimes none of those things in moderation, right? And I'd like to just write that down and throw it up, that everything in moderation, which isn't really truly true, right? Just get rid of that thought process that you can do everything in moderation, because that doesn't really serve each and every all of us, right? Moderation truly is a tool that will allow you to find joy and peace. And you can be so much happier with less, right? When we lived in that van for 6 months, I would have to say that that was what brought us the closest together. It was less stressful. Owning a house and all the things that go along with owning a house, there's always something that has to be done. There's always something broken, or 2 or 3 or 4 things. It seems like you're never ahead. There's always to-do lists, right? There's always maintenance issues and things like that. I'm not discrediting it. Owning property is a great opportunity to live hopefully rent-free, right? To establish some financial gains, right? But think about the things in your home that really can provide you contentment, right? The things in your life, all those aspects of it. So when we decided to purchase the house, and when I started changing all these concepts, it was really, I wanted to purchase things that brought me value and joy, right? So I didn't really look at always the price of the item. I looked at it as if it's going to serve me long term. And then I would figure out a way to purchase those items, right? So everything in this house is pretty much from Restoration Hardware. The sheets, the towels, the furniture. The only furniture pieces that are not our dining room table and our coffee table are not Restoration Hardware. Everything else, because I wanted items that were timeless, things that were going to last a long time, built really well, but a style as well. All right. So another example is, years ago I was getting the itch to own a motorcycle. I really wanted a motorcycle. And so I went out and bought some cheap little crotch rocket, and it was a piece of crap, and I hated it. So I sold it and let me get a Harley. I've got a lot of friends with Harleys, so I bought an 883. But it wasn't really what I wanted. I really wanted a V-Rod. And my wife said, you should just buy what you want the first time, because it saves you so much time, energy, and effort. So if you can't afford those items at this point, it's okay. Just hang on to what you have until you can afford those things that truly bring you joy. Because what happens is you're going to just fill it up over and over. So I bought 2 motorcycles before I bought the one that I really wanted, that really brought me joy. And that's how we are with so many things in our life, that we purchase items over and over and over till we really decide to purchase the thing we want. If I would have just held on and waited for that V-Rod, it would have brought me joy. I wouldn't have had to retitle, retag. I wouldn't have to try to sell other items, right? So think about those things, because a lot of times it causes anxiety, frustration, and truly lack of joy. So journal this for me. What materialistic items truly bring you joy? Right? Not superficial satisfaction, something that's going to boost your ego because you drive in this car around and you think you look cool, or you give yourself a label that you live in a certain part of the city, right? And that's how you tell everybody, oh, I live in Johnson County, or I live in Leawood, or I live in Cherry Creek, or whatever it may be for Beverly Hills, right? But really, what is it around your life materialistically that brings you joy, right? So going forward, I just want to say that I try not to make impulsive decisions regarding my purchases. Rather, I make sure that long term they will serve me and bring me joy. That's my cars, that's any tools, that is clothing, houses, anything. That it's not just an impulsive decision. It's something that I have thought about, sometimes for weeks or months before I actually purchase it, and I've done a lot of research on those products. Before I make the purchase, I look at reviews and things like that. So it's not just like I get on Amazon and go to town and start purchasing item after item, right? When I was building the van, I did the same thing. I have a list of items that I purchased, and some of the stuff I'd researched for 5 years. So I wanted the best quality items in the van that would last me a long time and I wouldn't have to worry about replacing them. So let's go back to the definition of moderation. It's the avoidance of excess or extremes, especially in one's behavior or political opinions. So let's go to the second part of that. Let's go to the political opinions, because at this time right now, I see more dissension in our political realm than I've ever seen before. And I realize that a lot of times my decisions were made based upon emotional decisions, not upon facts, right? And we have politicians creating so much more havoc due to their personal agenda. Not only are the Democrats, Republicans refusing to collaborate, numerous times within their own party, they're creating dissension. And we've all seen this on both party lines, right? So if you're unable to find mutual respect for another person, right, you're providing an opportunity for resentment. And the news has truly transformed over the past few years as well. You think about the headlines and the articles, they pose emotional, and numerous times they're not completely accurate, and they are unbiased, which news should be this, right? So a few months ago, I was listening to NPR, and then I got on to the website, and they posted this article. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's basically stated that President Trump insisted, and I forget exactly what it was, and I read the article, and I was like, no, actually, he suggested, he didn't insist. So I actually went on Twitter and made a comment, and they actually changed the title or the headline of that article. So I want you to think about your opinion of what you're getting in from a lot of the political aspects. Is it really truly just news? Is it information of what they're providing, unbiased and unemotional? Or are they taking all their emotions and they're spinning it? Or they're giving you that BuzzFeed or the clickbait on it, and they're not really giving you truly the news, they're giving you their opinion. That makes a huge difference in the impact of how you feel towards somebody, right? Because if you feel that somebody insisted instead of suggesting, and these are constant battles that we're having to make and we're having to really decipher in. So I want you to think about that as well, that are you providing an opportunity for respect and understanding of all politicians, of all people, especially any party that you're not affiliated with? Are you able to see their perspective, right? And I want you to just realize that the political environment has truly changed, and so has the broadcast companies. They are not what they used to be, all right? Hopefully this answers some of the questions that people have asked about moderation. It really dives into mindfulness, right? Meditation, those concepts, but really about being minimalistic and finding healthy boundaries. With all of those together, you will be able to find the moderation that you're looking for. And you'll be able to avoid excess or extremes in your behavior or your political opinions. So think about, your emotional intelligence or your emotional behavior and how you respond. Are you able to be calm and collective, or do you go to one stream or another? If you have any questions or comments, or you have a topic you want me to discuss, feel free to reach out to me. Love you guys. I hope you have an amazing week. Namaste.